Am I wrong for taking my kids to go and meet my husband's abusive father even after he prohibited me from doing so? I 42F and my husband 42M Daryl have 3 kids, 18M, 13F, and 9F. We have been together since we were 15 and married since we were 18. I have never really had any contact with his father. He has always been distant with him and has made sure to keep me away as well. So I do not know much about his father personally, other than the few things he has brought up only 1 or 2 times. He has mentioned that he hates his father and that he was an abusive asshole and that he would abuse him and his sister every day. His mother took her own life when he was 13 and has been in therapy since. So his relationship with his father is practically non-existent. All he has as a real family is his younger sister. My contact with his father had only been before we got married. Daryl has always tried to keep me as far away from him as possible. I've only interacted with him when I first met his family, and when he graduated high school. When we got married at 18, he cut all contact with his father and prohibited me and our kids from ever contacting him or inviting him to anything. That included our weddings, kids' special days, and so on. They have never met their grandpa, and it has always bothered them. They have all met my sister-in-law 40F and love her as family. They frequently ask for her and are very close. She has been to every main event and family gathering. I am not very close to her, but have maintained a good relationship. I asked her about her parents and how it was growing up, and she tried to evade the question and even started to get nervous. She refused to answer my question and changed the subject. Daryl never really told me much about it either and has reacted the same way when our kids have asked him about his family. On Thanksgiving, we had a family dinner. My whole family attended. Of course, my sister-in-law attended. Everyone got wasted and had a good time. That was until my youngest asked her if Grandpa was going to attend this year. My other kids jumped on the bandwagon and bombarded her with questions about him and why he was never here. She got overwhelmed and stormed out. My husband scolded them and went to make sure her sister was okay. When we got home, he told them to never bring him up again, to erase even the thought that Grandpa does not exist. This seemed to have lit a fire under all of them because to them it seemed like a mystery, a hidden character who they were dying to meet. Since then they have hounded me about it. Mom, I want to meet Grandpa. Mom, why isn't Grandpa around when yours is? Why don't you invite Grandpa over? All I could tell them was that Dad did not get along with Grandpa and that Grandpa was mean to him. It did not seem to shake their resolve to meet him. I have brought it up to my husband that his kids want to meet their grandpa. Maybe they should get to meet their grandpa at least once. They deserve it. He did not like the idea and told me to never bring up this subject again. He told me that they would never meet that man. He did not care about how much our kids wanted to meet him. He again prohibited me from ever contacting his father and let alone letting his kid meet him. My kids continued to hound me and begged me to visit Grandpa. I felt bad for them and thought that maybe just once they should meet him. They deserved at least one visit. I convinced myself that it was okay and eventually agreed to it. I told them that this would be our little secret and to not tell their father. Their faces lit up and throughout the week they would ask if I was taking them today or tomorrow. So I took them to see their grandpa this upcoming weekend. I told my husband that we would be going to the mall and that we would be back late. When we got back home, my husband greeted us and had ordered takeout. His sister was there as well, already chowing down. My husband and I went to the kitchen to get something to drink while his sister talked to my kids. I overheard her ask them how their day was and if they did. My youngest excitedly responded, "We got to meet and have ice cream with Grandpa." My husband dropped his cup and it shattered on the floor. I told him that I could explain, but he did not give me the chance to and told me not to say a word. That he will be going for a drive to think and that he will be back. I pleaded for him to hear me out, but he left. His sister was angry as well and followed, but before leaving she asked me why on God's green earth would I take them to him. Now my kids are asking what happened and I'm not sure what to say. So AITA for taking my kids to go meet my husband's abusive father? Update: life has gotten pretty hectic since I last posted. I want to start by admitting that I have always wanted to meet my husband's father and that I have brought up Grandpa to my kids more than a few times. I did not want to admit it because I knew my husband's story and did not want to make it seem like didn't I care about how he or his sister felt. I felt it unfair that I was being kept away from his father, and I know that it sounds awful, but I have always wanted to have some kind of relationship with his father. After all, he is still family. I just did not want to admit that I was wrong for feeling that way. I did use my kids as an excuse and used them to justify my feelings and actions. They did want to meet their grandpa and were always curious about him, so I went and took advantage of it. My family does know this situation as they noticed that my husband was not staying at home. I have gotten cussed at and shunned for my decision. I am doing what I can to rebuild my relationship with my husband. He accepted my apology but told me that he would still be staying with his sister until he felt ready to come back home, until he got over my betrayal of his trust. I've read your comments and you guys are right. My kids do deserve to know the whole truth about their grandpa and why he never wanted or allowed him to be around. So I sat them all down, yes, even my youngest, and explained to them. I told them that they did nothing wrong and that I was the one to blame for everything. I shouldn't have pushed my cruel ambition onto them. I explained the reason Dad wasn't staying at home for the past few days. I believe it can be fixed. I am not gonna give up, despite what you all say. My husband will come back and we will be a family again. I will update whenever I can and answer any comments whenever I have the chance to.